Hi, friends, and welcome to Season 3 of the School Librarian Learning Network podcast. I'm Steve Tatro, often known as Dr. T Loves Books, and I love talking about all things related to school libraries. I'm an old dog who's always trying to learn new tricks. That's why in each episode of the SLLN podcast, I'll chat with a school librarian about a lesson, program, or activity they love. Hopefully, this can be a place for school librarians to get ideas and find new ways to engage with their students and staff. Speaking of which, I'd love to hear about what you and your friends are doing in your school library. Email me at drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com to tell me about what you're doing, offer feedback about the SLLN podcast, or to request a podcast sticker. As Amy Herman likes to say, being a guest on a podcast is a great way to show your admins you are engaged in meaningful professional development and leadership in the profession. So drop me a line and let's chat. That being said, the opinions and ideas shared in this podcast by myself and my guests are our own and do not reflect those of our school districts. I just like to geek out about school libraries. So without further ado, let's get to this week's episode. Hey everybody, we are back and I am excited because I've got a returning guest and this is going to be wonderful. And it was just sort of an out of the blue coincidental meeting that brought us back together. And this guest was like, I've got this idea. And I was like, yes, let's do it. So I don't want to step on my guest's toes. So please welcome with me, Katie McNamara. Katie, thank you so much for coming back. So glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is really great, Steve, the platform and being able to share all this cool stuff. So, hey, all, I'm Katie McNamara. If I am new to you, well, let's fix that.
Yeah.
I am in dual worlds. I'm a high school teacher librarian in Central California. I'm also a program director for teacher librarian credential program. So that means I'm teaching everything. And sometimes it even is like PES. Like I got a kiddo that comes in and you know these kiddos, like usually it's a boy, but that's fine. I'm a boy mom, totally adore my boys. But like if we don't expend some energy beforehand, my day is going to be horrible. So I just got a system. I point at the kiddo. I point to a spot that's like behind the bookcases. And we both go back there, bust out 10 push-ups. And now we have a great day. So
nice.
Yeah, bringing it all in, right?
Love it. Man, I'm learning all sorts of stuff today. I love this. This is wonderful. So yes, I mean, I don't know how anybody could not know the amazing Katie McNamara, but now we've at least got a little bit of a grounding. And I am learning because I hadn't realized until we were just talking now that you were working with future ready librarians. It's amazing because that's such an important thing to help folks kind of be prepared for what's coming our way because there's so many changes going on. So
there is. And like you talk about updating classes. I don't update classes like crazy, except for the classes I teach at university. I was like, oh my goodness, this is just changing and that's just changing and this might change and we need to be prepared for this. Yeah. So sorry, if you didn't know this beforehand, you chose the best job, but also the most taxing job in a way as well.
Well, and when people do it like you do it, it's definitely, I don't want to say taxing, but it's certainly got a lot of, you are a very effort-forward librarian that produces amazing results. And I absolutely love it and appreciate that about you. In case folks want to check it out, you were here with us for episode 14, one of my first episodes of this podcast with Game of Quotes. So if folks want to check that out, it is a great episode. I love it. So if you haven't heard it yet, go back and check it out. And you also want to check this one out too, because today we're going to be talking about author visits. And when you had posted this topic to me yesterday, when we were just kind of casually chatting, you had thrown out, author visits. And I was like, well, what's the piece of that we're going to be sharing? Like, yeah, it's author visits. Okay. And then as soon as we started talking about it and you shared this amazing resource, I was like, oh, this totally makes sense. So let's take a step back and maybe you can tell us a little bit about how did you kind of arrive at this idea that this was something that was needed or should be shared?
Yeah. So I've been in the library since 2013. And if you go back to like your first year in the library, it's a lot. And you're told all these things you're supposed to do. And author visit had been kind of on my radar, but it costs money. And the authors I had been interested in, like I'm coming across like $20,000 plus, like, well, that's never going to happen. And just one of those things, like a series of like good events coming up and being mindful of who you have in your circle. So like if Casey Boyd's not in your circle, definitely there. So I always present at her Boss Librarian PD. And last summer she had Tony Weaver, who wrote Weirdo, Eisner nominee, by the way. Yeah. But he didn't know that at the time. And he's talking about stuff like, oh my gosh, I want him at my school. And I found out it wasn't $20,000. Like, yes, yes, yes. All of these things. And that was the easy part. Going through and actually doing it like, oh my gosh, and this, and this. It's like, but wait, there's more, but wait, there's more work you have to do to make sure this operates successfully.
Yes.
And I am really big about going through the trials and tribulations myself and making sure no one else has to go through that. So the resource link that Steve just mentioned, like that is definitely linked and shared with all of you to where like you can see it too, read it, go through things. There's forms, steps, and I've gotten married before, and I would laugh at it because like I'm not someone, I ain't spending 20 grand on a wedding either.
Neither did we.
There's the planning guides like, hey, this is what you do 6 months out. This is what you do 2 months out. Same thing with an author visit. But like we got to start like now if you want to have one in the spring. So
yeah,
I have all that itemized too, to where now I can go back and I'm going to use it myself. Like, okay, what is it I really need to do now? What is it that needs to be focused on? So you're not like having to worry about having all of that information at your front memory load that's distracting you from other things. We got this guide and it works. Now, okay, I do have to do this like asterisk thing. I'm saying it works. I've done this how many times? Once. But, I go full in and like the minutia is there. And when you look at like my details, you'll be like, wait, she said she did this once. No, this is someone who's done it 20 times, but that's how I roll. Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And like, it's funny because I've been fortunate enough to have one author visit because I won a free author visit. And I'm looking through your document. I'm like, oh, that's right. I had to do this. Like when you think author visit, you think, oh, the person comes and they talk, but there's so much structure to build around that before it, during it, and after it that I hadn't thought about before my first author visit. And I'm looking through your document. I'm like, oh, I should have done this and I did not. This was really good. I wish I'd thought of this further ahead than I did in my process. So I'm so thankful that you are coming here to share this with us.
Yeah, well, my evil plan, like even when I do like lessons for other teachers, my evil plan there is for the kids to be like complaining to their classroom teacher and begging to go back to the library. So same thing with my author, like they're going to know how it's supposed to be and expect that. And other people like, well, Katie did this and this is how it works there. I mean, and even talking about, like you just mentioned, Steve, like they come and talk, but like, that was like my first thinking of it too. Like they come and they do this keynote and they're done. Like if that's all you do, like, and not all, like it's not worth anything, but that's, you're not capitalizing on the day. They should not come and do one keynote. Like no, author visit is like a full day experience.
Yeah, well, especially when you're spending the kind of money that you're talking about. Like, even if you're not 20 grand, like these often are thousands of dollars. And that's a big chunk of most people's budget. So yeah, we absolutely need to get our money's worth, squeeze every penny out of that.
So that comes up a lot. Like, how do you get someone that's not 20 grand? And this sounds horrible. And the author I have coming up is probably going to hear this too, but here's the trick. You have to get the author that you know is going to be a big deal before they know they're a big deal. So it's like, yes.
I love it. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense.
And that's what all the conferences do. Like any conference that has like the authors and whatnot, if we're not talking, like Comic-Con or a huge national event, it's the up and coming. And that's why they have those many that are there. And yeah, everyone's playing that game because there's no way we can do the 20 grand an author, and that author fee is just a small snippet of what you're going to be spending on. It's like, why are you going to have an author visit without books?
True, absolutely true.
Those cost money too.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And like maybe that's a great case to be made too for like getting those arcs and getting those preprints and going on Edelweiss and the other one that I can't think of at the moment and kind of finding those authors. Yes, thank you, NetGalley. And finding those folks who maybe aren't big names yet, but you read their stuff and you're like, oh, this is amazing. Like that's a person that would definitely be worth a reach out to.
Totally. And I'll look at a few different books that I'm thinking, okay, so with getting prepared for my next one, I had it narrowed down like 5-6 books. Like, okay, now what do I need to do? You have to be a stalker in the good way, Because no, seriously, just because one can write does not mean one can talk. But y'all that are listening, guess what? Steve and I, we both can talk and we can write and we teach. We do it all. Anyhow.
Triple threats.
Right? So going onto YouTube, like, have they posted something where you can really see their voice cadence? Because you got to
Mhm.
make sure it's going to connect with your student. If someone is like totally boring, like, I don't want to pay attention. Why the heck would a 13-year-old or a 7-year-old be paying attention? If they're not engaging, my goodness, I don't know if this has ever
Mhm.
happened to you, but if you've ever been in a room where the students are not engaged, no.
Not good. Not
Right?
good.
So doing the YouTube stalking, going to the social medias, looking at their website, how their website is laid out and how accessible they are will give you really good insight of possible cost. Like if everything's behind a wall, it's like, hey, you need to reach out to my personal handler. Okay, that's a cha-ching going right there.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are great tips. I love this because I have not sought out enough authors yet. And these, you're really giving me some great things to think about here in terms of practical specifics of trying to get an author day and getting those author visits in. And
And
sorry, go right ahead.
yeah, no, just thinking about that too. Like communication is key. So like I'm sending emails. If you don't get back to me after a week, that's already going to make me cranky because I realized too, like how important it is that like there's communication quickly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you get a couple of weeks out, like I need to trust that you're going to respond to me fast.
Right. And I feel like that could be a dual indicator. Like it could be that they're too busy and you're not going to be able to book them, or it could be just that they're not on top of stuff enough to
Right.
be able to do a visit well. So either way, I feel like that's a good thing to pay attention to.
And then with leveraging social media, like the one I have coming up, Catalog of Burnt Objects, so amazing. If you have not read it, you need to. Shanna's the author. She does have a last name too. I've got it in the notes. But Catalog of Burnt Objects, I read that like, oh my gosh, this should be a school read. And when I posted my little review about that, she already engaged with me like, oh, okay, I like this. You came out to me. It's like, hey, well, how can I help with this? I'm so happy that you think this and blah, blah, blah. So that's another like inverse way. Like, does that person even care?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good point too. And there may be authors out there that seem like they would be a great fit for your school, but then they're just not interested in doing appearances, which is, that's their
Yeah.
prerogative, but you don't want to spend your time trying to, chase somebody down who's not going to be interested in engaging in that way. So, that's a good point too.
For
Huh.
sure. And talking about like a school read, like I look at it from a few different perspectives. So I have a list of books. Yes, I think every high school student should read. Does that mean it should be an author visit?
Mm-hmm.
That's a different thing. So I'm looking at my access points. How many access points does this book have? And even within that, it goes into, sorry, I'm showing y'all with my hands, but there's like this tree diagram. So label, access points, and then it's like personal connections and then curricular connections. I need both of those, and I need a grip 10 under both. Like if it only works in one class subject, like nope. If I've got 4 or less personal connection opportunities, that's not going to work for a school-wide read.
I love that. Man, these are honestly things that just had not occurred to me, but it's such a good point. Like if you're going to do this, if you don't have all those connections, if you don't have those ways for the students to get in, like what are you doing? You're just kind of having a meet and greet, which, that's maybe okay for the students who want to talk to an author, but it's not necessarily going to be engaging them with the material and sort of bringing them mentally into the space where they're going to want to connect with this person and engage with their world and their words. Boy.
And those
Man.
people that just want to connect with an author because they're an author, you'd be lucky if you got 5% of those kiddos at your site.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. No. Like I am so valuing this conversation because you're helping me to think about so many things that had just not occurred to me and something that I think so many of us just take for granted. Like, yeah, author visit, you're going to do an author visit, like whatever. And there's just all these elements. Maybe we need to transition a little bit into looking at this resource because this resource is amazing and it lays out so many of your thoughts and so many of your ideas and really is such a great way to help people get organized and think about what they might do for this.
Well, one reason I really wanted to get this conversation going in the fall is because this is when a lot of grants open. So talking about the finances, like grants at the beginning of the school year, they might be from your school district even, which is fascinating. I didn't realize that some school districts have grants. But even non-school organizations, they open things up right now and they like to look good. And guess what? Literacy, despite what's going on in the news, literacy makes people look good and warm and fuzzy. Books in hand, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, that's such a great idea to think about what are your resources, both within your district, but also beyond the borders of your district, because there, like you said, there's so many different opportunities out there for grants.
Right. And I was snarky about this the other day. Like, I've never had admin come in and look at my shelves like, oh, wow, Katie, you do such a great job with collection redevelopment. I see how you've been inclusive of all of our students and making windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors and connecting to personal interests and curriculum connections. Thank you so much. So that conversation's never going to happen. But an author visit, heck yeah, that's like front page news. The board knows. All the members are invited. Community members get invited. It's like a big dog and pony show that they adore.
Yep. There's your pictures in the paper. There's absolutely. Your social media posts. So that's a great way to bring this programming in, but also advocate and advertise your program. So, so many opportunities here.
Still put that time in collection development, but this is extra.
Well, this is the great thing that you can bring the attention to all that collection development you've been doing and how you are. I mean, like you were saying, you're looking for authors that are going to connect in different ways, in different curricula, and connect with students in different ways. Having that thought in your head, being able to articulate that to your administrators and your school board and say, this is not just we're having somebody come in and do like a dog and pony show. Like, this is actual stuff that's going to connect with what our students are doing, adds that additional element, not only that will hopefully get you the support and permission to do the visit in the first place, but also sort of shows that you are a very thoughtful professional who is making those cross-curricular connections and helping your students connect with their subjects and helping the subjects connect across borders. So brilliant, and such an important element of this that just had never occurred to me. So thank you so much for sharing it. Very grateful for that.
Yes.
And speaking of sharing, you've got this document and you've got this great little FAQ, which I love. I love that you have laid out your thought process on what you think is going on with this. And you had already mentioned this, but it caught my eye. How do you select an author is in your FAQ. And you said, just because one can write does not mean one can speak. I think that is such a good point to raise, because there are authors that I love that I have gone to see them speak or talk. And it's like, oh no, your words are so good on the page, but no good with the speak language.
Right.
So I really appreciate that. And you've got some other, like, we've talked about some of these tips already, but so many great tips in here. And then you go into some of the specifics for your school. Like, you've got like, here are the specific things that I had to do for my school to make this work. And this is such a thoughtful list of things to get others thinking. And they may have different processes. You were saying this before we jumped on and started recording. You were saying people might have different processes. So they might have to, go in different directions. But just getting those thoughts into heads, especially for folks who maybe have not done this before, so incredibly important.
Yeah. So the document tab he's talking about, it says KHSD. That's my district. So I was debating about whether or not to keep it, but like, no, I wanted to keep this. So again, like Steve just mentioned, copy it, change it for your own. What does your district require? Like, some districts require extra paperwork and certifications for every speaker before they come on campus. Get that figured out. I found out, I was a month and a half out from my author visit when I found out I had to have board approval. I was like sweating bullets, like, wait, because my mind, that means board can say no. But I was like calm, like, no, they're going to say yes. Like, holy cow, why did you not tell me this back in August when I started all this work?
Well, and like, sometimes to get stuff into your board's agenda, you might need a month or even 2 months lead time. So that's definitely something you've got to have in mind.
So I was thinking I would just be at the next board meeting. And no, there wasn't enough time, because I didn't have all that specifics of like, it has to get on the agenda X amount of days before the actual meeting. Like, oh my gosh.
Which, like, again, that you have laid this out and are sharing this so that others can have that, can learn from your experience and hopefully, figure out what are the specifics in their district. Because like you were saying, every district sort of has their own way of doing things. Like, some districts are like, yeah, sure, whatever. And others like, I know I have to get board approval and I've got to be on the agenda so many days ahead of the meeting, and those only happen once a month. And so it's got to be at least a month out before that you do this. Like, it all piles up really quickly. And I love that not only have you laid out like these are resources you should be thinking about, but you've also got your planning guide in here. And I don't want to jump ahead if you want to talk more about the specifics, but this planning guide tab on your document that goes into like this many days out, this many months out, these are things you should be thinking about. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And you got to figure out too what's important to you. So, besides having an amazing day, which we can get into that a little bit later, but there were two other big things important to me. Like, I wanted to like have a student lunch with the author. Like, it's not going to just be one of those lunches where, yes, just the fancy people that can pay for their own damn lunch wherever they want. You know, it still include a few of those, but like, I wanted students to be involved in that. So making a big deal about that. And how do you select those ones? They need to care about the book. Well, how do you get them to care about the book? They're reading the book. Okay. Well, how do you get them to read the book? So you follow along with me. Like, you gotta be that obnoxious 2-year-old with yourself. Well, it's classroom teachers getting on board with teaching the book. Okay. So how do you make classroom teachers teach the book? You make it as easy as possible. Are you bored with this yet? Okay. How do you make it as easy as possible? Well, you provide curriculum that they want to use. Okay. How do you provide curriculum that you want them to use? You have it layered and really, really easily accessible that's already pre-differentiated. So
taking all that work off their plate. Yes.
Yes. And I shared what I did with my author visit last year, so you can see it's not meant to be difficult for the teacher. I'm working with another teacher author visit, and she made this like 40-page curriculum development unit. Like, I ain't going to do that. I'm not even going to share it with my teachers. Like, as a classroom teacher, I would not want anything to do with that. So I got it like really like keeping that 1 to 2 page concept down and having it by ability level and being mindful of how I word it. So I have stuff that was able to be accessible for my special ed students to my advanced placement dual enrollment students, but it's all shared together so that teacher can decide where they want to pull from, and some pull from every single level.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're going to have mixed classes, or sometimes you're going to find that element that just happens to work perfectly with a group, and it's going to, you're going to look at multiple layers of the same idea. So that's brilliant. And I mean, the idea of getting a 40-page, not that it was necessarily technically 40 pages, but like just there's such a thing as too much, especially for classroom teachers when they've got so much coming their way anyway. So I love that idea. If here's a one sheet of ways you might be able to use this. But to backtrack to your point from before, like, so if you're having an author visit and you've got to figure out what kids are going to be there, and then those kids have to read the book, and then how do you get the kids to read? That all takes so much time. Like, you've really got to think so far in advance about how are we going to make this all fit together. So
and guess what, Steve? We decide this, and you're like, oh yes, I want to order my books. Guess what? The books don't show up the next day.
Yes. Oh, yes. Too. Yeah. I mean, it's almost, you've got us 240 days out, 8 months-ish. I almost would want to go back a little bit even further than that in terms of just like having some planning done. Like, this is almost something you do like a year in advance so that you do have that time to think and plan and order and get everything into position. But man, I mean, I think 8 months absolutely totally makes sense as a starting point, and maybe even farther back than that. This is every time I look at a different part of what you've shared here, I'm just like, oh my gosh, yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and add some more, because I started working on my author visit for this spring, like right after I finished my last one. It's like, when do you start? Like it really is right away. And the different, like I mentioned, we looked at a few different authors, and I put a student task force together to do that research. I'm busy helping teachers. I always look at that, like, am I really doing what my credential says to do? And is there some way I can empower other people? And whenever I can empower my students, like, yes. For my students to like know that they selected this author, like, sorry, I'm just like, my cheeks are hurting and smiling so big just thinking about that. Like, they grow 2 inches, and it doesn't matter how old they are. My junior babies, they are excited that they had a say in what's going on.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, talk about getting student voice and student investment in what's going on, student engagement. Like, if they're picking the person, they're 100% going to be on board, and they're going to bring their friends and they're going to bring their classmates. So that's a brilliant idea. Why not get the students involved? Not only take stuff off of your plate, gets them more engaged. Oh boy, there's a reason I love talking with you, Katie, man. And then, so you've got your planning guide. There's a week of tips, which I love. Going into the thing itself, you've got a tab for, here's some things to, start getting into place.
Yeah, because here's the thing, even though I haven't met everyone in the field, like I still care about you. And like, we got to think about ourselves, like what's going on. And like my biggest tip the day before, and this is what you got to have that admin buy-in. And I know there's so many like, well, that sounds nice. But if you're doing a grant, put this into your grant work. Have a substitute for you the day before. So you are free to roam about the building however you need, like all the last minute things about, like I did tickets for my workshops. Kids were absent when I had them initially delivered. So now I've got to like follow up and make sure I got my numbers and everything's lining up just so.
That's a great point. Again, not something I would have thought about.
Right? But... Have you put your drinks for lunch in a refrigerator? Do that the night before. Yes.
Yeah. No, totally. And I love that you've got leading up to, but you've also got some after stuff. Like you've got some afterthought, some aftercare, some things. I mean, literally aftercare, your day after tip, do not plan lessons. Protect this time. You will be exhausted. Like, yes, absolutely. And I feel like, especially for educators, we've sort of got this, we've got to always be going, we've got to always be doing, we've got to always be advancing things. But I think you're absolutely right that we also need to give ourselves the time to say, I just did an amazing thing and I deserve to take a minute to just enjoy the moment of that and refresh myself before I dive into the next thing.
Yeah. And some of us like enjoy creating and that's a calming thing for us. So I go in and I got pictures from different aspects and different people that had done different pictures. And I went ahead and put together a one-pager collage my day after. But like for me, that was a calm thing. But if I was working with another class, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So I go ahead and have that right away. And then you send that out to all your admin, all your board members. Again, it's advocacy. It's not bragging. It's informing. And I had so many people, so can I get that picture and this thing? Or, I want this picture separate to be able to highlight in this other thing.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. And also giving yourself that time to sort of refresh. You can both reflect, but also you're getting yourself mentally girded again to, go back into battle, as it were, the next day, because you don't want to go into a lesson not being your best. And doing something like this can be, like you said, it's exhausting. So making sure you're giving yourself that chance to make sure you are able to bring your best to your students after having brought this amazing thing that is a lot of work. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much work it is.
And you want to give yourself protected time for reflection. So wherever that works for you, if you're one that you need a week after to reflect, fine. I like reflecting the next day. So like, okay. And I did the, scary thing. Everyone that was more closely involved with my teachers and my administration, I sent them a reflection form. And yeah, some things made me cranky, but some things like, yeah, they're right. And it would have been fixed, but all of my weird glitches, like I had my speaker was late. That throws a wrench into things, not their fault or anything. Just sometimes things happen. And I like, okay, yes, you're right. And I can go ahead and fix that. And there were a couple other things I hadn't really thought of. So that's good. Just thinking about anything you do, anything that's worth doing, you want to reflect and improve upon. So embracing that concept, always in beta. I'm going to do this again because it's a worthy venture. I wouldn't have done it the first time. How can I make it better?
Yes. Percent. And you had mentioned bringing students in, and you've actually got a tab here for student role, like things that students can be thinking about and doing to help this process along, which I think is great. And you've even picked out specific jobs, which I love. Like you've given them roles within this process.
Yeah. So early on, the first one I do, and this is you appoint, like still have that discussion because if they don't want to do the job, that's not going to work. But having your lead student, like that they can go ahead and take all the little things off of your plate while you're doing this planning work during like, my student even like was involved in looking at menus at the different restaurants as we were selecting who was going to cater our lunch. Like they can do that. Okay, now do a cost analysis. Okay, what do we think about dessert? Like all these different things. And again, empowering that person. And it's all of these skills that like, a job would want. They're basically doing all those party planning event things. And yeah.
That's, again, hadn't thought about what a great tie-in. Like we've got college and career readiness here. We're teaching them valuable life skills that they can use in the workplace, as well as good. I mean, you're talking about hospitality crew and author wrangler. Like those are interpersonal skills that they're going to need to use and develop. So many ways that this is going beyond just the curricular aspects of school and into those soft skills that are so incredibly important, but don't always have an outlet or a way to get experience with them. And you're building them into this thing that I think most people take for granted is just a author shows up. You're making it into a learning experience for the students.
And when you think about hospitality, like what's the number one thing that makes you feel special? Putting you on the spot there, Steve. What makes you feel special when you go into a space or you arrive at a conference or whatever?
If somebody welcomes me, if somebody is just there to say, hey, holy smokes, we're so glad to have you here. That's a nice thing in my book. I like a cookie.
Oh, all right. Okay. So check. But I'm going to follow up with a bonus question here. Okay. So do you like it like, hey, we're so welcome to have you here. Like, hey, Steve, so glad you're here. Which do you prefer?
Like, you mean like knowing my name or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If somebody knows my name, I'm blown away.
Okay, so hospitality, go ahead and make a deck. Your admin is even your students at your school. They don't know all the different admin people by name. So all the people that are showing up, there's a slide deck with their picture, their name, an audio. You can use Mote extension, all kinds of different things. Get an audio clip in there too of how to say their name, because some of those names, like their spelling and speaking don't mesh up. And the board members, any adult person that's coming, have that in here, and the students can practice and be ready for that. So they have that hospitality at a higher level, which also college career readiness goes out there.
Yeah, boy, man, you had mentioned this in our conversation yesterday, and I did not understand how that fit into things. And now I'm like, of course, this is brilliant. Like, man, and I could see that. You could certainly generate that, but even having the students generate and work together to generate a deck of faces and names that are, potentially going to be there, that could be a fun research, little, side research project. Where do we look for pictures? How do we find out, where they're listed? Who are these people?
And since we're dropping this in the fall, like that's a really good, sub thing to do to kick off your school year with important people on campus, like your counselors, your administration, security, who they might need to talk to for different things. And you've got it together, because if you look at a school website, which they'll figure that out to get pictures maybe, but it has everyone. Students don't have communication or have a need for every single person, but what are the few that really you need to know these people?
Yeah. Boy, I'm going to be doing an orientation for our not an orientation. I'm going to be in the school when the seventh graders are in a couple of weeks. And I am now taking this idea to my principal and saying, hey, we should maybe put this together because this will be really handy for the kids.
If you want to get your admin on board and get that extra support, they could be the one recording their voice.
Yes.
And saying how to say their own name. Hi, I'm so-and-so. And maybe it's 2 more sentences about them, something they enjoy that has nothing to do with school, So then the students can't even connect with another adult on campus. I think it's real important that every student has an adult that they feel they can go to.
Yes, absolutely. Man, one of the things I love about doing this podcast and having these conversations is that so many of the things that get discussed, the person comes in with here is a specific way that I do this. And every element of it has this ability to be exploded out into all these great directions and additional things. And this is one of those things that my mind is just fizzing over with holy smokes, yes, for the author visit, but also so many other possibilities for where this could go. Boy.
Yeah, I don't
have
time to put this much in. No, totally. I don't have time to do something in isolation. Even a unit, if it only hits one standard, why? That's a huge waste of time.
No, it's a great point. And then I love that you've got tabs for some additional things, and you've got team outfit. What a great idea to have.
They need to be recognizable by the author. Okay, so if something comes up and they don't see me, they know who they can go to. For any of our visiting guests, even the students, teachers, hey, they need XYZ during a workshop, it's easily identifiable. So my principal is super amazing. She got shirts for my library science students last year. And we got to design a thing. Yeah. And it says more than books, but it's still got a stack of books on the front. It's fabulous. So everyone was wearing their shirt and we used Weirdo. And if you haven't read the book, why not? So the Tony Weaver wears a cape all the time. And in his book that's memoir-esque, the character wears that too. So I went ahead and I bought capes too for all of my students. So that was our outfit. They had their t-shirt plus the cape. So very, very awesome. Recognizable. And just, I like being thematic. So tying all of those different pieces together.
I mean, and like you were saying, just a great, easy visual way for guests or for other students or teachers to identify the people that they can ask for further information or for further assistance if they need it. Like, that's so simple and yet something that's so easy to overlook. So I love that you're including that with what you're doing here.
It gives them like extra power. Like even I'm thinking about my ushers when I have the keynote. Like, why is a student going to listen to another student about where to sit? Because they have this special shirt and you don't. Like,
yeah. No, I mean, but what a difference that makes. Like, having that visual element kind of does imbue them with that authority. Like, it's,
right?
Again, simple but powerful. I love it.
You want to give them double authority? You give them a clipboard. Maybe there's nothing on it, but they also have a clipboard.
Absolutely, man. You can get it anywhere in the world with a clipboard.
Right?
All you got to do is look purposeful. And so you've got that. You've got your ideal flow for the day for your school, which is probably going to be different for other schools. But I love that you're at least sharing, like, here's how it worked when you were doing this with your students and sort of how your daily flow went.
And we did have conversations about if my keynote shouldn't be first period because of students being late. I don't know. Maybe that's the only problem at my school. But
I don't think so.
The way my school is laid out, the time to get from my keynote venue to my library space for the workshops, and I'm still percolating in my head, like, I don't think I want to deal with that happening twice. You know, it's like if they start a workshop in my library space and they have to walk to the theater and they also have to come back, that's going to impact more things that I want it to. So right. I think I still might just start with the keynote, but like all of those little logistics, and maybe you weren't thinking about that, but yes, how long it takes to get from one spot to another impacts your flow.
Oh, absolutely. And like my author visit was virtual. And so it was at a very specific time and she was going to be on the screen. So like all I had to do was make sure the screen was there, but I hadn't given enough credence when I was doing mine. I hadn't given enough forethought to how much time is it going to take for the students to get from where they're coming from to the library? How long is it going to take for them to get settled in? Like, because some of them were still sort of, straggling in as she was already starting to talk. And that's like not a great look. So how do we sort of, think, like you're saying, thinking these things through, what is the ideal version of this? And let's think about that in terms of specifics and details and plans, both for the students and for the visitors. So.
And then when you're in person and you're doing what I said, because why wouldn't you do what I say? You pick someone who can talk, which also means they enjoy talking. So they're going to be late because students are going to be talking to them. So really the least amount of walking you can happen, do that. Like we got golf carts, like, okay, I have a security person. Your job is to transport my author door to door. Go run over a student if you have to. No, don't do that. But like, yes, get them here.
Well, and like, I have met Tony Weaver twice now, I think. And both times, wonderful guy. I hope that people get him to come to their schools. He loves to talk to people. He loves to have conversations with, especially with individuals. Like he loves to talk about whatever is, in their minds and whatever they bring to him as questions. And wonderful, absolutely amazing. And it's such a great one-on-one experience. But if you've got a group of people and he's supposed to be moving on to the next group, you've got to kind of bear that in mind. Like you might need to, build in a little bit of chat time in between sessions, just in case. Or maybe you've got an author who needs a little bit of social downtime in between having conversations with folks. So like giving some thought to how you're scheduling things and being sort of cognizant of what are your author's preferences, if you happen to know them, like might be something to bear in mind as you're doing all the scheduling.
Exactly. And as you meet with authors, you'll learn how you need to go ahead and adjust things. Just like when you teach something, each new set of students tell you, oh, I guess I need to like embed that too. So again, just realities, like nothing wrong. It's fabulous at Tony Weaver. Yes, he does enjoy talking with students. So giving 5-minute warning.
Yeah.
Making it very clear, this is it. And then maybe also a 1 minute warning. And what does that look like? You don't want a kid like tapping your speaker on the shoulder, like, hey, you've got to stop. Like maybe it's just a sign they can hold up, and you hold it until you have that visual recognition or acknowledgement that the author, yes, saw that.
Right. Next workshop in 2 minutes, need to go. Something simple, but yeah. And then the last item in your tabs list here, and I mean, we're going through this thing like it's something that is 30 minutes of information. This is hours of information to go through when you get the chance to kind of dig into it, folks. But the last tab, you've got the materials you created for your visit with Tony Weaver Jr. for Weirdo. And I love that you have included just the ideas of these are things you might want to have to use with whatever author visit you're doing. Like, yeah, it's not going to be for Weirdo necessarily. I mean, hopefully it is, because it's definitely a good book and it's worth having him come to visit. But whatever author visit you're doing, there's just some great stuff here that you've.
So there's a little plug, I guess, for Tony Weaver's book. If you want to get him, a lot of your stuff is done for you.
True.
And little things that take me like 2 seconds, well, realistically, they took me 0 seconds because I offload to a student to create, to create tickets for the workshops. That makes these kids feel so special. Yes. Are you on the list? Do you have the invite? Like, and it sounds little, but like it's huge. And I also need that to like manage it, because as things got going, you're going to have people that want to crash the party because you're throwing an amazing party. But there's still only so many seats.
Right.
And be ready for that. Like, you build relationships all the way around between students and teachers. Well, after I had one workshop, my teacher's like, well, I didn't sign up for next period, but can I bring those students too? No! What the heck are you thinking? Of course, I don't say any of that out loud. I adore this teacher, and she's on board with this next author visit. So, like, I'm not saying her name, but like, she's going to listen to this. She knows who I'm talking about. But like, sure, yes, of course. And I've got my like team of students. Okay, you have to move tables here in 30 seconds. Go.
Making it ticketed is such a great idea because it's showing that you're giving forethought to what is a manageable number of people to be in this room, and B, it does sort of give you the built-in out of somebody trying to invite in a class that you really can't accommodate, like, oh, I'd love it, but unfortunately, all our tickets have been used, all the space has been taken up. Like, not that you want to turn people away, but it's not the worst problem in the world to have if people are so invested that they want to be there. And maybe that gets them thinking more about, well, next time I'm going to make sure that I get myself on the list. But
and have that conversation with your author too. As a presenter, I like knowing how large my audience is. That's always helpful of how I manage things. So asking your author, like, okay, how many people are you comfortable with having in a workshop? Now they might say something ridiculous like 20, like, oh, that's cute. That's not even a class. But like you can finesse with it. Do they have a workshop that they feel they can accommodate 60-ish people, which could be like the equivalency of 2 classes? And we're saying class right now. So there's 2 different ways you can go at this. And this is what I did as well. So send it out to my teachers to where they could sign up their whole class. But not every teacher cares about that. You got teachers that are reading the newspaper, counting the seconds down to the day. They're not going to bring their whole class, but there could be like 5 students in that class that like, this is the love of their life. And they want to be in here. They've already read that book 50 times, blah, blah, blah. So you have like a personal individual sign up opportunity for those students. So you're dovetailing it. So that's why too, like the tickets become even more important, because it's not just this teacher, it's like these other special people that get to come.
Right. And it's certainly, you want to value that students are giving their time and giving their interest and giving their energy to going to this thing, because that's not something that all students are going to do. So if you do get those students who are interested in trying to sign up, that's certainly worth giving that extra, like you said, sort of that consideration to those students, even if their teachers maybe not necessarily, able or willing to bring class down.
And that sign up lets you gauge who to give a book to. And I really do like the concept of giving the book. Like, no, it's not going to get barcode. It's not going to get stamped. It is given to the student. That does make a huge, huge difference. And some authors will lower their rates in lieu of buying X amount of books. So have that conversation too. Yes. And okay, so while we're talking about books too, like get multiple quotes. One vendor told me that they would do a sliding scale. And then when I went ahead and put my stuff in the next year, oh no, we don't do that. Like, what are you talking about? That's lame. So like, oh wait, I have choices. So I went to another one. And two, if you're doing the job, you know it's a lot. So I am a big fan of Book Jobber. I did not go to grad school to put stickers on a book, but I'm not putting stickers on these books. So like, what can your local bookstore do for you?
Yeah.
Usually they'll do tons and tons, like more than you'd even like realize. So like, see what they're willing to do with this.
And that's a great way to build that connection in the community too. And
Yes.
I mean, maybe it's in exchange for, oh, these books were provided by like that, or
oh, I
with
like
a
that
special,
too.
I don't, there's so many ways that you can use this as an opportunity, not just for your students, but for that community connection.
Yes, I'm actually going to reach out. I'm using my local bookstore, already working with me a lot, but I like maybe if they want to gift something or do an extra percentage, I could say books provided by, and that's another neat way to promote in a way that's useful. And okay, so if you've got a company that'll do a sliding scale, but you don't meet that threshold, it's like, okay, think about this. If you don't meet that threshold, could you still? Yes, my friend, because you have friends. Is there someone in your area that should also do this author visit? Why not team up with someone and like, okay, they're at my school site this day, and then the next day they'll be at your school site. So if you put your books and their books together, and guess what? You also just now got to where you can split the travel expenses.
Yeah. Very much. That's sometimes those travel expenses are the real bear of the whole process.
I know. This sounds weird. I've slept with randos. No. I'm a librarian education. We don't make tons of money. If you're like, what are you talking about? Look at your bank account, folks. I know we don't make tons of money. So like, I'll go to a conference and maybe it's someone I've only like have a relationship with on social media, and we're sharing a room. Okay. I'm not going to just invite an author into my home to stay for the few days. Like that's not happening. So yeah, that hotel thing, how can we lower that expense? Well, it's getting a circuit set up for them. Maybe they stay in your area, whether it's your district or your state, like whatever. And the authors eat that up. They prefer that. That's flying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what a great way to maybe take advantage of some of your state organization networking and reach out to folks that are in your area, or talk to your state organization about, can we talk in counties, or can we talk in, cities, or whatever it might be.
Okay, you just made me think. Maybe the county office has funds.
See, there you go.
Oh, and they'll pay for something. Maybe not all of it, because yeah.
I mean, I'll say that not my county's education association, but a nearby county's education association recently, it was last year or the year before, did a book giveaway, and it was book provided by, and there's the teacher organization. Like, what a great piece of promotional material to say to families, like, teacher unions are not your enemy. We are your friend. We are helping your students, So maybe that's another hook that people can use to kind of find those extra funds that they might be looking for. Whew, holy smokes. There's just so much great stuff here. And I am so thankful that you said, hey, do you want to talk about this? Because there is so much, and it's so wonderful.
Wait, I do want to minimize the overwhelm in case that's happening. Because you're saying there's a lot. And there is a lot, but okay.
There is a lot.
I have it organized to not be overwhelming. Each tab is just a handful of pages, and I've utilized, headers and whatnot to help the eye flow.
Yes. No, absolutely. It's very nicely organized. It makes sense. And while, like you said, there's a lot of information, but it's in manageable chunks. So absolutely. If you are even remotely pondering maybe someday doing an author visit, folks, you want to just peruse this and just, even if all you do is get ideas, there's so many great ideas here, folks. You do not want to miss this. So hopefully people are going to be able to take advantage of this work that you have done. I love that when we were talking before we got going, you were saying that, you did all this work, and it only makes sense that other people should be able to get, take advantage of it. Like, why reinvent the wheel over and over again? So I truly appreciate that all this time you have spent putting this together, you are now sharing this with others so that they don't have to start from scratch with their, author visit preparations. And it's such a helpful and useful thing. So thank you for sharing it.
Yeah. Can't we do but wait, there's more? It's not in the links yet.
We can absolutely do wait, but wait, there's more.
Okay. So I'm high school and have various levels all the way around. Like I got kids that don't even have phonics. And so last year the book was middle grade. And I want to really put out there, like middle grades has a lot of amazing work. And it's, you don't have to worry about like sexual stuff and cussing. Like you can go that there's a safety bit of it. I would still like make sure it's something that can transfer easily to high schools. Like I talked with Tony Weaver about that a lot. Like, yes, the kiddo's in middle school, but it's not like, hey, today in 7th grade, I did blah, blah, blah. There's not that reminder. So my high school students were still able to get involved. So this year, though, I'm flipping it. It's a true YA book, Catalog of Bird Objects by Shanna Youngdahl. And well, yes, it's high school read. Okay, so first off, publishing companies know people don't read on grade level. So like, it's not like it's a 12th grade written book. Like most YA is what, between 4th and 6th grade level. But I want to have these other parts of connectivity options. And especially last year, I had so many of my special ed teachers involved. How can I get them in this year? So, okay, what's a current middle grade book that I can tie in? I'm going to use Spark. So there's another book that still has similar themes, but at a different level. And I really love some of the memory, connection, dementia, all of these other like little nuances that are going on. Well, there's a picture book that Wilfred Gordon, it's like 5 names. It's by Mem Fox. It's an amazing book. It's an older book, but it's amazing. And you can do this with any book. If you're doing high school, like, okay, what's the middle grade connection? What's a picture book connection? Even in a high school setting, I love starting with a picture book to help prime their brain. And then we have a shared experience and shared prior knowledge to help us unlock some deeper things.
I love that. Man, I'm thinking through like that. Such a great way to, you're providing something that all the students of all ability levels will be able to access. And then you can sort of scaffold from there and use, like you're saying, thematic connections, or, it could even be writing conventions or whatever. Like there's always going to be something that you can sort of tie these books together with.
And know your community. If your community speaks multiple languages, is this book available in that other language?
Is it possible that we do it in a different language and do like a comparative read or something?
Right.
Wow. So much. I'm sure that we could continue to talk about this all day. I have zero doubt. But we are now going to take our 90-degree turn and go into our book break.
Book break. Squiddy!
I love the book break. And you have brought more than a title, which I love because you love books. And I'm going to let you sort of drive where you want to drive here with the titles, whether you want to go in a particular order or however you want to roll. You go right ahead.
Okay. I always have this like stress, like which book, like, oh my gosh, it's like saying which child is your favorite. That does not work. So I am really big on like what's current, because even like realistic fiction, if it's 10 years old, it's not realistic fiction anymore. Like, let's be with it. Okay. So one I just read, and these are all like new titles, folks. So This Thing of Ours, Frederick Joseph. Love that. Guy, basketball star, like mega star, gets hurt. He's on scholarship at this school, and like, okay, he was a basketball player, so of course he's stupid. No, he's not, folks. Did you think that just because he was Black and played basketball? Shame on you. Dude can write, and he's got this teacher that knows it, and he gets encouraged to like go to this writing academy. And at first he's discluded because of previous said things about him, and so much more going on in that. But like, that's just the precipice of getting started with it. Speechless is my graphic novel. I want to shout out. I love the inclusivity we're getting with various neurodivergence and just feelings coming to surface, even that our brains are different. And Speechless deals with the darling is a selective mute.
Okay.
And what that looks like. And parents are clueless because she talks at home.
Interesting. Is this, what level would you roughly put that at?
That's a middle grade book, but it's sure as heck in my high school library. I already ordered multiple copies.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen that title appearing places, but I haven't actually gotten my hands on it yet.
Okay, well, you want your hands on it. Speechless.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, by Erin Nell Stank. Yes. And I'm like, oh gosh, how long do I talk? Okay. This summer, I remembered everything. Love that too. Girl gets a job and parents are upset because it's like a babysitter job. Like, no, you're better than that. She's like, no, it's okay. This is what I want. And she thinks it's weird that she's getting paid, but then finds out this woman, and I'm going to tie this in, has dementia. And at one point, like, loses her mind about some things and thinks this girl that she hired and has just gotten very, very close with took something, and it deals with all of those dynamics. And then she's told by the woman she's a caregiver for and family not to tell the other family, not to tell anyone else. Well, then there's a car accident because she was driving, and I won't stop there. Like, yeah. So like a lot of these big choices, like what's the right thing to do?
Boy.
And then of course, I was like, but wait, there's more. I have to give a shout out to my author visit book.
Absolutely.
Catalog of Burnt Objects. I think I said it a few times, but like that makes sense. We talked about Tony Weaver's Weirdo a few times because that was my last year. So Catalog of Burnt Objects by Shannon Youngdahl. It deals with the California fires. And what I adore about her is, you know, she's a California native. She doesn't live here right now, but we won't judge her about that. It's a passion project. She dealt with, okay, there's all these horrible things going with the California fires. And they're still going on right now. One of my friends was talking about having a beautiful sunset. Like, oh my gosh, it's only pretty because we're literally on fire. A sunset looks very different when there's the fires roaring.
Yeah.
But Shanna looked at, what can I do? What can I give back? And awareness and such was some of it. So this book is a passion project of hers. So it does deal with California fires, extreme devastations. Like, but wait, there's more. We've got, you know, the multi-generational living. We have creativity, girls making an app for something and what that looks like. We're dealing with elderly care, all of these different dynamics, relationships, substance abuse. And it's done in a nice isn't the right word. I like the way it's handled. Even like if you didn't have home insurance, what that's doing to you, like all of these pieces. So some pieces at first glance, you might be like, well, she could have gone deeper with that. Like, yeah, she could have written a 50,000 page book, but no one will be reading that. So, okay, it's done very, very well. That has these access points that if you want to go deeper into like what home insurance looks like. And I'll tell you, like right now, I don't have home insurance and it freaks me out, but because no one's carrying it in California anymore. Yeah.
I did not realize.
So again, like talking about access points, like this totally connects with my community.
Right.
It doesn't mean like don't use the book if you don't
for
have
those who are not in California,
fires,
what
like,
an
you
interesting
totally do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for those who aren't in California and maybe aren't aware of the impact the fires are having, but even just the socioeconomic idea of like not having home insurance, like that's something that more and more coastal places are going to have to start looking at. So having students get the chance to start thinking about that, boy.
Yeah, Mother Nature is not happy. There's all kinds of things happening.
Yeah, seriously.
And that the relationships, you know, in between the siblings and to the grandfather, it's precious. It really is. Well, I wouldn't pick a yucky book for my author visit, but like this is, I could talk another hour about how good that book is. So apologies, but yes.
No, not at all. I'm so glad you shared. It's funny because the last time you were sharing, I believe you were sharing a lot of horror stuff. And so I was sort of expecting some more niche genre books, but sounds like we are very much in the realistic fiction and very relationship-centered stories, which I think are so incredibly important for our students.
So the horror I most recently read is more adult, and I'm like, okay, that's not going to the library. And there's this one that's YA, and I really thought about it, but like, you have to be mature to get it. Like, there's cannibalism all the way through. Like,
okay.
If they see it, I'm like worried. Are they going to see it as a how-to book? That's not really the point. Like, yeah.
Well, we can always share whatever books. They don't have to be for the library necessarily. I love these titles for the library, but I'll tell you, I mean, since we're talking horror books, I've just recently heard the audiobook for Chuck Tingle's Bury Your Gaze. And the audiobook was so good. It's got multiple cast members, which I haven't often heard in audiobooks. And they're all so good. And they're all people who are sort of, when you see the names of the different narrators, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I know that person. I know that person. I know that person. Like they're all sort of names that are going to be sort of familiar.
Love that.
The story itself was really interesting. It's about this guy who writes queer horror movies, and they're sort of a niche thing. And all of a sudden this weird stuff starts happening where his horror characters start appearing to him. And then he's like, am I going insane? And then other people are seeing these horror characters too. And he's like, okay, so I'm not going insane, but what the hell is going on? And it really goes into some interesting places, especially with, I don't want to give too much away. There's some really interesting twists and turns as the story goes, but it's a fun one. So,
okay. So adding that, okay, since we went there, like, okay, I feel like we have to give everything representation. So, okay, we're going still in horror, adult, graphic novel.
Okay.
So if you didn't think that was possible, it is. And The Deviant by James Tinian. Amazing, amazing.
Okay.
There is a killer dressed up in Santa Claus costume.
Huh.
Yeah. And the person I thought did it is behind bars, and then the killings are happening. And there's like evidence, the driver's license left behind, but is that planted evidence? Is that real evidence?
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard great things about Tinian, and I know I've read some different Tinian stories at some point, but they're not standing out to me.
He's the author of Wind, which is probably in your library. Something is Killing the Children. Everything he does is amazing.
Yeah,
but
I've heard great things, and I think Sarah Smith was telling me that I had to get, when I was at ALA, there was a Tinian collected volume, and she was like, you have to get that if they're giving it away. I was like, okay, see what I can do. Well, thank you once again, not only for this awesome walkthrough of how we should be thinking about, or things we could be thinking about as we get ready for author visits, but also for these awesome book suggestions. I now have another graphic novel to add to my ever-growing list, and all these great books that I need to start checking out for my library too. So thank you so much, Katie. I truly appreciate you taking the time and sharing everything that you do.
Well, I love this opportunity to get this out and help others. And I want to add, I know people say it, but like, most of us mean it, and I really, really do mean it. And before I say what it is, I'm going to give another question. It's like a riddle, and there is a correct answer. How do you make a librarian happy?
I mean, you make this librarian happy either with books or with sharing.
Okay, fine. Yes, I get. Okay, so there's two correct answers. The other correct answer is you ask questions.
Yes.
So as you're going through this stuff, as you're working on something, if you've got questions or just want to talk something out, yes, email me. And it makes me feel warm and fuzzy that I'm getting something real in my email, not just spammy. So yes.
Love it. Well, so if people do want to reach out and connect with you, where are they going to find you online? How should they be looking for you?
So for a variety of reasons, my social media stuff is pretty much Bluesky. Katie J. McNamara, that's attached in the notes. Also my email there, katiemcnamara.edu@gmail.com. You're like, what did she say? How do you spell that name? It's also in the show notes. Like, we got you.
We got you. Awesome. All right. Well, Katie, again, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you, and I truly appreciate everything that you share with us.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the SLLN podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes for the episode. They feature links to resources shared by our guest, as well as ways to keep in touch with them, and links to the book break titles. I'd love to hear from you. If you have feedback, a comment, an idea, a question, or something you want to share, you can email drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. Know a librarian with something we could learn from? Let us know. Until next time, be good, be safe, and be well.